Hello everyone, today let's solve this one, multiplicity, right? So you can read this question. So here, this one, I'll just simplify or I'll just summarize the whole question so that it will be easy to understand, right? You can completely read this question first. I'll just summarize this question, right? So what they have asked is, given an integer n, so they have given integer, they have given integer n, given an integer n and a sequence of integers. So for example, just sequence of integers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. So given an integer n and sequence of integers, the main goal is to compute the number of ways to achieve each possible subset sum up to n. So this one n, right? The sum of the subset has to be equal to n. This one. This is our main goal. So for this, what we'll be making use of? In our case, we'll be making use of the dynamic programming approach. So given an integer n and a sequence of integers, the goal is to compute the number of ways to achieve each possible subset sum to n. Then each subset sum should be considered modulo value. Each subset sum should be considered modulo, nothing but modulo value 10 to the power of 9 plus 7. So this one, basically. So let's understand this one. How can we approach this one? So as usual, we'll be going step by step, starting with the input handling, right? So just let me delete this one. Just give me a second. So first step is, as usual, we'll be going with the input handling. So what we'll be doing initially, just give me a second. Yeah, what we'll be doing initially, so in the input handling, we will read the entire input and split into lines. We have to read the every input line by line, right? So for that one, we'll read the entire input and split it into lines. So we have to read the every line, every input of different lines. So that is one thing. We have to extract the integer n because they have given the integer n. While explaining the problem, I have said given an integer n, right? We have to extract the integer n and the sequence of integers from the input. That's what we have to do, the first step. So this is the first step. Second step, we'll go with the dynamic programming array in the main function. So this is the core logic. What we are doing here, dynamic programming array. Inside this one, what we'll do, we'll initialize the dp array dp. So we will initialize the dp array dp of size n plus 1. So we are initializing the dp array of size n plus 1, right? So we are initializing the dp array of size n plus 1 with all the elements set to 0. So with all the elements set to 0. This is initialization. Set dp of 0 to 1. So here also we are setting dp of 0 to 1. This is what we are doing in the first step. Also in the second step, what we'll do, we'll use the modulus, nothing but mod of 10 to the power of 9 plus 7. This one, as I have mentioned the value of mod. We are using the modulus mod of 10 to the power of 9 plus 7 to ensure the result fits within standard integer limits. So the result has to fit in within the standard integer limit. So we'll make use of the modulus, nothing but the value 10 to the power of 9 plus 7. So next, this is the second step, right? Next, we will process each integer in the sequence. This is third step. We are moving to the third step. So here we are processing each integer in sequence. So for each integer a in the sequence, we are computing its square root. First step, what we will do, we will compute the square root. For each integer a in the sequence, we will compute its square root. For each divisor j of a from the largest possible value down to 1. After doing this, we are updating the dp array based on the current divisor and its complementary divisor. So this one comes in the third step itself. So we will see this one correctly while we write the code, right? So this you will understand while we write the final step is we have to compute the final result. So here what we will do in the fourth step or the final step, we have to compute the final result. How can we do that? We'll sum up the values in the DP array to get the final result. So we are summing up all the values in the DP array to get the final result. So output the result after applying the modulus. That's what we are doing here, this one. So let me delete this one. Let's start writing the code. So just give me a second. So initially, as usual, input handling will be similar to most of the problems. So if you have followed the last problem, you will be knowing. So initially, we'll ensure the program keeps running until the end of the input stream. Also, we'll set the encoding of the input data. So I'll just come here. Let me give process dot standard input resume. This is one thing. Process dot standard input encoding. This let's give UTF -8. This is fine. Next step, what we will do, we'll initialize the string to correct all the input data. Also, we'll track the correct line of input being processed. This is same, right? So I'll just initialize the input string. Let me give the variable name input string, and I'll just set this one to empty string. This is one thing. Also, let's track the current line of the input being processed. I'll just give current line equals 0. This is one thing. And next step, what we will do, we will append incoming data to the input string. For this, before doing that, let me consider this one. Process dot standard input on data of input. I'll just give standard input here. So in this step, we will be appending the incoming data to the input string. How can we do that? I'll just consider input string equals input string plus just give input stdin. This is fine. I'll just copy the same thing. Let me make the necessary changes. Here, instead of data, let's go with the end. So let me delete this one. So this has to be input string itself. This will be input string. I'll just remove list. Input string equals input string. What are all the things we will be doing? Well, first we will trim all the white spaces. So let me give trim. Also split. What does the split do? We will split the input into lines. So next line we have to display. We have to read the next line as well, right? So for that purpose. So what I'll do here, I'll just come here. Let me give /n. This is one thing. Also, we need to trim each line, right? So to remove the white spaces. For that one, what we can do, I'll just make use of the map. Within the map, let me give string. So this one, I'll just make use of string.trim function directly. So this is fine. So next, we'll be calling the main function here itself. I'll just leave the space over here. So we have not yet written the main function. So after writing the main function, we'll call the main function here. So let me leave the space for that. So next what we'll do, we'll let me function read line. So here what we will do, we will return input string of current line plus plus. So this one we are doing, right? What we are doing, we are reading the next line of the input by using this. So this is one thing. Next what we will do, we will write the main function. Nothing but we will write the core logic inside the main function itself always, right? So let me give function main here. So initially what we'll do, we'll pass the first line as an integer n. Let me give let n equals, for that one, read line. So this is one thing. The second thing is we will pass the second line into the array of integers. So for the second line, what I'll do, this is similar. I'll just give read line split. So we'll leave the space, and also map of type number. So this is one thing. What we have done here, the first two things, we have passed the first line as integer n, and we have passed the second line into the array of integers. That's what we have done here, these first two lines. So let me come here to the third line now. So here what we will do, we will initialize the DP array with zeros. So how can we do that? I'll just give let DP equals array of, let me give n plus 1 to fill with the zeros. To initialize with zeros, I'll just make use of fill and 0. So we have initialized the DP array with the zeros. Next, base case, as we have discussed while during the approach, base case, there is only one way to form a subset with sum 0. That is nothing but DP of 0. We are initializing this one to 1. This is the base case, basically. Next, we will consider the modulus to ensure result fits within the integer limits. That's the reason we all, most of the times we will be making use of the modulus, right? So in my case, I'll just give mod. You can just take 10 to the power of exponent operator, or I'll just consider 1 E9 plus 7. So this is one thing. So next what I'll do, let's process each integer a from the sequence. For that one, I'll just be making use of the for loop. Let a of AIS. We will compute the integer square root of a. How can we compute the integer square root of a? I'll just take square root equals math.floor of, let me consider math.square root. Math.square root of a. We need this one, right? So this one we can do. So instead of math.floor, I'll just make use of the double tilde operator. So this is somewhat fast compared to math.floor, right? So this is one thing. Next, we will iterate over the we'll iterate over all the possible devices. Again, I'll be making use of the for loop. For let j equals math.min of square root comma n. This is one thing. Yeah, this is fine. J greater than 0. Also will decrement the j. Reverse iteration. Next, we will check if j is a divisor of a. If j is divisor of if j is divisor of a, how can we check? A module j. This one we can, if this is equal to 0 or not. That's what we'll be checking. If yes, then again after this we'll check for the complementary divisor. As I have said earlier, how can we check that? If a by j greater than square root, also a by j less than or equal to n, then what we will do, I'll just write dp, just give me a second, math.flow of a by j. Just give me a second, is this correct? dp or yeah, let's continue. This will be dp of mat.floor of a by j plus dp of here, let me give mat.floor of again a by j. This is a by j minus 1. This is fine. After this, I'll just give mod. So this is fine. Else we will be updating the dp array. So this one I'll write it here after this dp of j. This one equals dp of j plus dp of j minus 1 module mod. So what we have done here, we have updated the dp array else. So instead of mat.floor, I'll just make use of the double tilde operator itself, so that just give me a second. Let me change this one quickly. So this is fine, right? So after this, what I'll do, just give me a second. Let me come here. So this is the last step. So what we will be doing here, we are initializing the result. So for that one, I'll just give result. So I'll just initialize this one to 0. Then let's make use of the for loop. I'll just give let I equals 1, I less than or equal to n, and so here we will sum up all the values in the dp array. So we need the result. During the approach, I have said that we'll sum up all the values in the dp array, right? So that's what. I'll just give result equals result plus iterated value of the dp at mod. So this is fine. Finally, we have to display the result, right? We have already summed up this one using this one. So we have to display the result. For that one, I'll just make use of the console log. We have to output the result or we have to display the result. For that, I'll just make use of console log of result. So this one. So this is it. I hope everything works fine. Also here, let's call the main function as well. So yeah, let me come here. Let me consider this input. The output that we have to get is 3. So let me come here. Let me run this one. So we are getting correct output. So let's consider the second input as well. Let's copy this one. We have to get the output 13. So I'll just come here. So let me hit the run. So 13. So we are getting the output correct. Just give me a second.
Wow, I wanted the.
So let me try to submit this one. We'll come here. Subcode. So here this one was C. Let me paste the code over here. Hit the submit. Let's wait for some time. So this is giving wrong answer on test 8, right? So somewhere we have done wrong. Let's check. So what mistake I have done here is, so the mod, this one mod operation we are performing here on this entire line. Sorry. So the braces here I had missed actually. This one, this brace has to be, bracket has to be here. This one is correct. Hopefully now everything is correct. Let me run this. Yeah. Let me copy this one. Let me come here. Let me give submit code. So let me paste it over here. I'll choose C. Let me submit again. I hope this works this time. Let's wait for some time. So yeah, the bracket was the mistake, I think. So we have to perform mod operation on the entire line, but I had placed the bracket on the wrong place. Let's wait for some time. So yeah, this is accepted now. So the mistake was braces here, this one here, this one and this braces were the mistake. So yeah, no, this works absolutely. The code works absolutely correct. So this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.